it's Lori again, and welcome back to my kitchen. Just a week or so ago, it hasn't really been that long. A week or so ago, I shared with you how I make and can whole berry juices in our home. You know, grape juice, cranberry juice, cran raspberry, you know, the list goes on and on. But anyway, and so I think that in that video I shared with you that I reuse the berries after we have enjoyed the juice. You know, we strain the juice off and I keep the berries and I actually shove them into a Ziploc bag, and little by little as we use the juice, and I store this bag in the freezer, but little by little as we use our quarts of juice and we strain those berries off, I just go to my freezer and I grab that Ziploc bag out and I just add more berries to it as we go through the juice. And so I do have one of my jars of juice here with me today. So in other words, I would pop this open, I would drain off all of the juice, we would enjoy the juice, and then you have that leftover fruit left, okay? This works really super good with cranberries. It works well with grapes. It works really well with raspberries also. But anyway, I have a combination of berries today, mostly cranberries. And I'm going to share how I make this into kind of a jam or jelly, what have you, kind of like a jellied cranberry sauce, I guess is what it would be. But of course I have other berries mixed in with it. But the main ingredient is leftover cranberries from homemade cranberry juice. And realistically with cranberries, when you're making jellied cranberry sauce, you technically don't have to use any added pectin at all. But I am going to share my recipe, one of my recipes with you today, so that it just kind of covers a broad spectrum of different types of fruit. So if you have a combination of fruit in your fruit juice, in your whole berry juice, this recipe will just broad spectrum pretty much cover all of the fruit that you want to reuse from your whole berry juice, all right? Because, you know, certain things are not as high in natural pectin as other ones are, and so I just want everybody to have success with it. So I have an entire gallon bag of my used whole berries from my fruit juice, and I've just let it defrost, and I'm going to get this emptied into my pan, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up really well, and then when I come back, I have problems with, as I've shared before, I have problems with little seeds. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to strain my fruit to get all the seeds and the skins and things out of there. Now that is not a necessary step, okay? If you want more of a jam where you want the chunks of fruit in there, and if seeds are not an issue for you, you do not have to do the straining process at all. But I have issues with seeds, so I'm just going to warm these up. And, you know, they were already cooked because they were in that whole berry juice and they've been processed, and so they cooked in the process. So really, the only thing I'm doing is I'm pretty much just heating them up so that I can strain them a little bit easier. And if you're not going to strain off your seeds and stuff, that's fine. You don't have to do the straining process. But anyway, so I'm going to get these into my pan and get them heated up, and then I'll come back for the straining process. And I'm estimating, you know, this is how I do everything. I'm estimating I have approximately 8 cups of whole fruit here today. So technically this is a double recipe. Most jams and things like that call for around 4 or 5 cups of fruit. A lot of people say that you shouldn't double jam and jelly recipes. I strongly disagree with that. I double them all of the time, and I have success using a couple of different rules. And I will share those with you as we go on. But anyway, I'm going to get these heated up, and then I will come back for the straining process, and we will continue from there. All right, so you guys, I have reheated my frozen berries up really well. And now I'm just going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm choosing to strain them to get the seeds out, just because that's my personal preference. Now, if you don't mind having the seeds in there and you want like a chunky jam or whatever, that's absolutely fine. Just leave them the way that they are. But I will show you how I do this for most all of the things that I strain. Is I get a nice big container, and I have one of these fine wire mesh strainers, and I'm just going to place my fruit right in there, my heated fruit, just because I think it makes it go through the strainer a little bit easier if it's heated. Just put a couple of ladles of that fruit in there, and then I take a rubber spatula and I just start kind of mixing and forcing it through the strainer. And yeah, this does take a little time and it takes a little effort, but I'm just really much happier with the final product if I don't have all those seeds in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue straining that, and I take that dry mash, you know, after I've strained it as much as I want to, I just take that dry mash and I put that in another bowl as my discard bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get this all strained up, and then I'll be back to give you the recipe and the directions. All right, guys, so I'm down to just my last little bit of berries to strain here. And I just want to make sure to tell you that on the bottom of that strainer is all sorts of really good pulp for your jam. All right, so make sure that you scrape that off the bottom of your bowl also. All right, so I am going to go over and I'm going to get my pan just washed up quick because I'm going to reuse it to make my actual jam. I've got I've got a good 8 cups, maybe even a little bit more of just, you know, the juice and the pulp of the berries. And I've got all of my strained stuff over in my cast off dish. And you guys, if you want to, you can go ahead and dehydrate this and powder it and use it in cakes or muffins or anything like that. Now, the one thing about this is that, you know, since we're doing double duty with these berries, you do have to kind of keep in mind that since they were already made into whole berry juice, they will not be quite as flavorful as a fresh berry would be, you know, because they've released all of their juice and stuff into your whole berry fruit juice. But they do still have flavor and they are still usable, all right? So I don't really personally feel like when you strain these berries out or strain the berries out of your juice, I really don't feel like they need to go into the trash at all. You can, oh, I'm dropping stuff all over the place. You can absolutely reuse them like what I'm doing today. So anyway, I'm going to get my area cleaned up here, and then I will be back to share the recipe with you and the steps of how I do this. So I'll be right back. All right, so now we're to the fun part. And like I said, this is kind of a broad spectrum recipe that I'm going to share with you, but this is just how I do it. You know, it's just the way I roll, I guess. Anyway, to every 4 cups of berry mash that you have, I would like you to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 box of Sure Gel, reduced or no sugar pectin, all right? And that's in the pink box, not the yellow box, the pink box. Now, if you want to use the yellow box, you're going to have to increase your amount of sugar. And I don't want to have to increase my sugar, so I'm using the low sugar pink box of Sure Gel. So to your berry mash, that's 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 box of Sure Gel, and we're going to heat that to boiling for about 2 minutes. And then we are going to add 2 cups of sugar, all right? So 4 cups of berry mash, 1 box of Sure Gel, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, bring it to a good boil, and then we're going to add all of our sugar at once. Now, I'm just going to walk this through with you. I've got, like I said, I've got a good 8 cups, maybe even closer to 9, but I do not have any concern at all at doing a double recipe. So I'm just going to get all of my good berry mash in there, strained. There's no seeds in it, just a beautiful, beautiful product. And I'm going to add my lemon juice. Now, since I'm doing a double recipe, obviously I'm going to double my lemon juice to about 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now, lemon juice is important because it really does help restructure pectin. When pectin is heated, it kind of breaks apart. Lemon juice and sugar helps to restructure it, okay, and put it kind of back in order. So the lemon juice is really important. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 for my double recipe. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my low sugar or no sugar Sure-Gel pectin. And since I'm doing a double recipe, I'm adding 2 packages. There we are. And you know what, you guys? I forgot my whisk. I will be right back. All right, the right tools for the right job. So we have our berry mash and our pectin and our lemon juice in our pan. And get that mixed up really well so that that pectin is pretty good and dissolved and mixed in and incorporated. And now what we are going to do is go ahead and turn on our heat. I kind of like to do this over medium heat, but you know, you all know that I have a gas stove. You don't want to cook it too quick and fast because it will burn, as all jams and jellies will do. So I kind of like to heat mine up over medium heat. And we are going to be very attentive to this and stir it frequently. And once we reach a boil, we will boil for approximately 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. Just make sure you boil it at least for 1 minute, all right? And it never hurts to do 2 minutes. And then we're going to add our sugar. So I'm going to get this boiling, let it boil while I'm stirring it for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll proceed. All right, so I have allowed my berry mixture along with the lemon juice and the low sugar Sure-Gel to boil for approximately 2 minutes. Now today I have decided, since the majority of my mash, my berry mash, is cranberries, this is going to be kind of like a jellied cranberry sauce for me today. And I really like the taste of cinnamon along with cranberries. So I'm going to put in a nice heaping teaspoon of cinnamon, just ground cinnamon, you know, simply because I didn't cook it with the cinnamon sticks because it was in my berry juice. I'm going to get that mixed in, and then we are going to go ahead. Now that's optional, guys. That's just to my taste. And since I'm doing the cranberries, I just really like that taste of cinnamon in there. I need to turn this down. It's getting pretty high boil there. And now we are going to add your sugar all at once. If you're doing a single recipe, it would be 2 cups. And since I'm doing a double recipe, I'm going to do 4 cups of sugar. And go ahead and just add that all at once. And get that sugar all dissolved in there and whisked in. Now, like I said, you really want to be attentive because you don't want anything to burn to the bottom of your pan. At this point in time, if you're having a lot of foaming issues, because a lot of times with jam and jelly, you do have foaming issues. You know, as it cooks, it just likes to foam up. I just take a single, like a pat of butter or a tablespoon of butter, and just go ahead and put that in there. And what that does is it just kind of reduces that foaming up of the product. And so now what I'm going to do at this point in time is I am just going to continue cooking and stirring this. Now generally I use a candy thermometer, okay? But today I'm not going to use my candy thermometer because I know not everybody has one. But if you have a candy thermometer, go ahead and place this and just boil it until you reach the 220 degrees Fahrenheit mark on your candy thermometer. But today I'm just going to go ahead and I am going to cook it by instinct, and I'll show you a couple of signs on how you know that this is going to set up. Just because I know not everybody has a candy thermometer, but you guys, I love my candy thermometer for making jams and jellies. I cannot lie. I also, by the way, I have my canner heating up. We're going to have a hot product. I would like a hot canner. And for this, I am going to steam can it or hot water bath it if you would prefer just to do a traditional hot water bath. I'm going to steam can these just for 15 minutes today, just to make sure that we have a nice, good seal on our jars. So I'm going to continue cooking until I reach a point where I can show you a few signs of how to know your jelly is done. First of all, I am going to show you right now that if you dip a spoon in there, you see how that drips off really, really easy? And on the back of your spoon, hopefully I can do this without getting burnt. Oh, I know. I'll do it with this. You guys, I got to think on my feet when I'm recording. You can see how it's just really dripping off very, very easily there. And it's very fluidy. Let's get that down. It's very fluidy. All right, there's no real signs of gelling at all yet. So we're going to cook this until it really sticks to our spoon. All right, and another test that you can do is, I have no choice, guys. I got to lick my finger. I normally don't do that when I'm cooking. But anyway, another way that you can tell if it's setting is by taking a metal spoon or even a glass plate and putting it out in your freezer for about 10 minutes and getting it good and cold. And then you can dribble some of your product, some of your jam or jelly on that and just allow it to sit for just a few seconds. And you should be able to swipe your finger through it and see if it's going to set. And you should see immediate signs of it setting, immediate signs. You know, this is not one of those things where you have to wait 1 or 2 weeks to see if it's going to set up, all right? If you use that 220 rule, or you look for these signs that I will show you, you're going to have an immediate set as soon as the product is completely cooled down in your jars. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook this for a while, and then I'll come back and I'll show you those setting signs, all right? All right, see you in a bit. All right, guys, so I am at a really, really good point here with my cranberry, raspberry, whatever berry jelly here today. And so I want to show you a couple of the ways that you can test. I had a plate that I put into my freezer. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to rush here so it doesn't cool down. I have a plate that I put into my freezer. Now, of course, try not to like shock your plate so much that it breaks, you know, because you're putting a really, really hot product on here. And just give it a couple of seconds to cool off. Hopefully you can see there. Hold it where you can see. Give it a couple of seconds to cool off. Now, you should be able to swipe your finger right through that jelly. Have it mound up on your finger, and it shouldn't run back together on that plate. Do you see that? Beautiful set, you guys. Swipe right through. It shouldn't run back together, and it should just mound right up on your finger. All right? So that's one way of telling. I'm going to wipe my finger off here. The other way is with that spoon test. Just dip a cool spoon into your jelly, the back of your cool spoon. You should be able to kind of see that the drips have slowed down a little bit too when it drips off the spoon. But just dip that cool spoon, and it's pretty much the same thing as what we saw with our plate. You should be able to, let me see if I can hold it differently so you can see. Boy, that's really hard to see. Hopefully when I swipe my finger, you'll be able to see that that same test, it passes that same test. Boy, the lighting. There, now you can see where I swipe my finger. You see where I swipe my finger right through it? I'll hold it this way, and I'll swipe right through it again. And see how nothing is running back together? All right. That means that we have reached a really good set. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn all that business off, and we are going to get our jam into our jars. Get my little ladle up here. I don't know if I have anything to don't have a hot pad today, so I'll just use this. Make sure my burner's off so I don't start a fire here on camera. And we are just going to go ahead and put that in our jars. Now I do see that I do have just a little bit of foam. I don't know if you guys can see that. Even though I use my butter, there is a little bit of foam. I'm going to scrape that foam off just simply because it makes for a nicer looking product in your jar to not have that foam on top of it when it sets. So I'm just going to quickly remove that foam. Now there's no safety issues with that foam at all. In fact, a lot of times I'll put it into a bowl or a dish and we just go ahead and spread that stuff right on our toast. You know, because it's your jam or your jelly. It's just in foam form because it was boiling up. All right, and now we're going to get this into our jars. Now I didn't preheat my jars, so I am going to introduce this just a little slowly, just to allow my jar to kind of acclimate to the heat of that jelly. And once you got a little bit in there and your jar has a moment to kind of adjust, then go ahead and finish filling the jar. Now we can bring this all the way up to 1/2 inch headspace on our jars. I'm going to probably leave mine at 1 inch because I don't like getting my funnel really messy when it's inside the jar. Lift it up maybe, and there we are at about 1/2 inch headspace. Get my funnel into the next jar. Now, like any other canning project, of course, you want to take a clean, wet, laundered washcloth and wipe that rim to make sure you don't have any sticky drips on that. Go ahead and place your lid and your ring, and we're going to get those into our hot canner. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish filling up the remainder of my jars. Just drip a little bit of it in there, just kind of slowly to allow that jar to adjust, and then complete filling it. Funnel in the next jar, wipe your rim. Oh, we better put a little bit more in that guy. He looks a little low. There we go. Wipe the rim of your jar, place your lid and ring. All right, guys, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fill the rest of my jars. Now, as I was sitting here cooking my jam down today, I think that I gave you the wrong process time before we got to this step. And I think I said 15-minute hot water bath. This technically, guys, only needs 10-minute hot water bath. Sometimes my brain is running a million miles a minute. And, you know, I always catch things like that if I do misspeak, or at least I try to catch things like that when I misspeak. But anyway, this is high in acid. It's also high in sugar, and it only needs a 10-minute hot water bath. I did fill 1 pint jar, and the rest of them I am going to do in 1/2 pint jars. And both of them, oh, and there goes my ladle. You guys, I'm just having one of those days. Anyway, 1/2 pints, 1/2 pints and pints can be done for 10 minutes, either traditional hot water bath or steam canner. All right. Fish. Oh my goodness, you guys, you just gotta laugh at life. Seriously, what a mess. I can't be the only one that has days like this in the kitchen though, right? I'm not alone. Oh my heavens. What a mess, what a mess, what a mess. So now I have a nice sticky handle to work with here. All right, hopefully that cleaned it off well enough for me, and we'll get some more jars filled. guys, so I got all of my jars filled up, and I do have just a little bit remaining in my pan, but it's not enough for a jar, so I'm just going to scrape that right into like a little cereal bowl or something for us to enjoy yet this afternoon. And I'm going to slide my canner over onto my favorite burner. Turn this one off. Turn this one on. And like I said, I think, misquote earlier in the video, but this is seriously only just a hot water bath or a steam can process of 10 minutes for half pints or pints. Either size is fine. So I'm just going to bring this up to a full vent. I will vent for a whole 10 minutes and we will be done with our steam canning. You know how I love steam canning. But anyway, so I will be back then when this process is finished and I'll show you the beautiful results. All right, guys, so I got through my 10-minute steam canning period and I allowed my canner to cool off, cracked it open for a couple additional minutes, and now I'm just going to go ahead and remove my lid. And those wonderful, superb lids are just popping like popcorn, guys. Already sealing in there. And look at how beautiful that is. Just gorgeous color. I'm going to allow these to cool and seal undisturbed overnight. And then tomorrow, I will come back and crack one of these jars open to show you the absolutely beautiful set that we have achieved. I absolutely love this low sugar pectin. It's an amazing product. And it's also amazing that we can get double duty out of our berries, guys. All right, so I'll let these cool and seal overnight, and I'll be back in the morning and show you the wonderful set. Okay, so I'm back. I have allowed my jelly to cool and seal overnight. And like I said, guys, when you use either that 220-degree rule when you're making jams and jellies, or the tricks that I showed you with the back of the spoon and testing the set, or a chilled plate and testing the set, if you follow those rules, you are going to have an immediate set. All right, this is less than 24 hours later. Okay, these results are less than 24 hours later. And you can see if I turn my jar upside down, look at that. See the headspace? That jelly is not dripping or running or anything into that headspace. This is an absolutely beautiful set. So those are a few of my jelly and jam making tricks. And like I said, the stuff that I made here on cam was a combination of the berries that I had strained out from cranberry juice and cran raspberry juice. I think I had a few strawberries in there and possibly a few blueberries too, but obviously not enough blueberries to really, change the color. But I've also done this with whole berry juice when I make Concord grape juice. I use the whole grapes in there, and so then I strain those out and freeze those just like I showed you in this video until I have enough, and then I will go on to make a grape jelly or jam with those. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to crack open my pint today. I haven't even washed these jars up, but I'm going to crack open my pint today to show you the wonderful set and the texture of it, because of course, we all know how to use jams and jellies. It's a no-brainer. We eat it on our toast. We make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But today, I just happened to have some wings and meatballs in my crock pot. And I'm planning on I've got just a little bit of leftover barbecue sauce in my fridge. But the barbecue sauce isn't quite enough to cover all of the stuff that I have in my crock pot. And so I'm going to take my mixed berry jam. Mainly, the main ingredient in this, of course, is cranberries, but there are some raspberries and stuff in there too. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and I am going to add this pint of my homemade jelly to that crock pot along with that barbecue sauce. You guys, it's amazing. It really is. But anyway, all right, so I'm going to open this for you guys right now. We'll kind of move these things aside so we can get everything on cam here. And find a little lip here where I can get my opener attached. Beautiful seal. Beautiful seal. Look at this. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to there's just a little bit of liquid on top, but I don't want to drip it on my, the thing that I used to, the thing that I use here to set my jars on. Because I swear my brain is just having issues the last couple of days. But anyway, there's a little bit of like condensation liquid on top of this, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this open jar upside down because this is how confident I am with the set of this jelly. Look at that. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so I'm going to scoop out just a little bit here for you, so you can see this amazing set. Maybe page it up just a little bit. Look at that, guys. Isn't that lovely? Like I said, that 220 rule or those other tests that you can do to make sure that your jelly is going to set. My biggest suggestion when you're making gems and jellies is a lot of recipes after you add your sugar. Okay, most recipes are the same, where you either have your fruit or you have your fruit juice, and then you mix in your added pectin, whether that be a liquid pectin or a powdered pectin like what I use. You add that in and then you bring it to a boil for at least a minute or two. And what that does is it kind of activates that added pectin. All right, that's what that primary 1 or 2 minute boil is for. And then you add all of your sugar all at once. And after you bring that back to a boil, most recipes, including, I might add, Sure-Gel, suggest only boiling it after you add the sugar, only boiling it for like 1 or 2 minutes. I totally disagree with that. I have had multiple failures despite following the Sure-Gel recipes, despite following recipes online. That 1 or 2 minutes is just not long enough, guys. Continue boiling your jelly or your jam until it either reaches that 220 degree mark, or you can do one of those quick set checks that I showed you. The problem with those 1 or 2 minute boils after you add your sugar is it doesn't allow enough of the excess moisture to evaporate off of the jam or jelly. And it also doesn't allow enough time for the pectin that has been cooked apart, the natural pectin in the fruit, and even the pectin that you're adding back into it if you're using a liquid or a powdered pectin. You guys, that needs enough time to kind of restructure, all right? The pectin breaks apart when it's hot and it's cooking, and it kind of needs time to be restructured. But another really big thing, like I said, is the evaporation factor, all right? And like I said, less than 24 hours, and we've got this kind of an absolutely beautiful set. So I'm just gonna go ahead and enjoy some of this wonderful, I'm gonna call it cran raspberry jelly today, and give it a little taste on my cracker. Absolutely the perfect balance of sweet and tart. It's not so tart that it makes you pucker, and yet it's not so sweet that it's just overly sweet and yucky. Or it's just fresh. It's light and refreshing, and absolutely just a perfect consistency. Absolutely wonderful. All right, so I think that's about all I can share with you on this subject. As always, I appreciate you spending your time with me. Hope you maybe picked up a few good tips from listening to the video today. Just remember, if I can, you can too. God bless you all, and happy canning, everybody.